Number 25. The business office of a local college wishes to determine the methods of payment that will be used by students when buying books at the beginning of a semester. Explain how the office can gather an approximate sample that minimizes bias. So the college could just take a random sample of students who walk into the campus. Number 26. Determine the solution of the square root of 3x plus 7, which is equal to x minus 1. What we can do is square both sides. X minus 1 squared becomes x squared minus x plus 1. 3x plus 7 is equal to x squared minus 2x plus 1. Set this equal to 0 and factor. X squared plus 1x minus 6x minus 6. This factors to x plus 1 times x minus 6. X is equal to negative 1 and positive 6. We need to check for extraneous solutions, however, so plug in those values of x into the original equation. As we can see, the solution x is equal to 6 works, but x minus 1 is an extraneous solution. Number 27. The population of bacteria P of t in hundreds after t hours can be modeled by the function P of t is equal to 37 times e to the power of 0.0532t. Determine whether the population is increasing or decreasing over time, and explain your reasoning. So we know that e to that exponent is 1.0546, which is greater than 1, therefore it's increasing. Number 28. The polynomial function g of x is equal to x cubed plus ax squared minus 5x plus 6 has a factor of x minus 3. Determine the value of a. So we know that x minus 3 is a factor, therefore x is equal to 3 is a factor. So we can plug in 3 for x into the equation and set it equal to 0. Then we can solve and move everything to one side, and a is equal to negative 2. Number 29. Write a recursive formula for the sequence 189, 63, 21, 7. So as we can see, it's decreasing by dividing by 3, so we know it's a geometric sequence. The recursive formula is an is equal to an minus 1 times the rate. The rate is 1/3, and an minus 1 is equal to 189 because that's the first term. Number 30. Solve algebraically for x to the nearest thousandth. So 2e to the power of 0.49x is equal to 15. First, just divide both sides by 2, and then multiply that by natural log to get rid of e. 0.49x is equal to natural log times 7.5. We can divide by 0.49 on both sides to isolate x. X is equal to 4.112. Number 31. For all values of x for which the expression is defined, write the expression below in simplest form. We know the denominator 3x minus x squared is equal to x times 3 minus x, and we know the numerator 2x cubed plus x squared is equal to x squared times 2x plus 1, and we know that negative 18x minus 9 is negative 9 times 2x plus 1. We can put this all together, and we know that x squared minus 9 is x plus 3 times x minus 3, and then we could input that into the expression. We know that 3 minus x times negative 1 is x minus 3, so we could multiply the denominator by negative 1, cancel out 3 minus x, and put everything together. Number 32. An app design company believes the proportion of high school students who have purchased apps on their smartphones in the past 3 months is 0.85. A simulation of 500 samples of 150 students was run based on this proportion, and the results are shown below. Suppose a sample of 150 students from your high school showed that 88% of students had purchased apps on their smartphones in the past 3 months. Based on simulation, what would the results from your high school give the app design company reason to believe their assumption is incorrect? Explain. So because the interval will be the mean plus or minus 2 standard deviations, it will be 0.852 plus or minus 2 times 0.029. The interval will be 0.9 The interval will be 0.794 to 0.91. Therefore, because the estimate falls in the confidence interval, the statement would not be assumed to be incorrect. Number 33. Patricia creates a cubic polynomial function p of x with a leading coefficient of 1, and the zeros are 2, 3, and negative 6. Write the equation. So we know if those are the zeros, this will be x minus 2 times x minus 3 times x plus 6. We can multiply this out. X squared minus 3x minus 2x plus 6 times x plus 6. We multiply that again and add it to x cubed plus x squared minus 2x plus 36. We plot these zeros onto the x-axis and connect. It can just be very general, and this will be the general shape of it. Number 34. A public radio station held a fundraiser, and the table below summarizes the donor category and method of donation. To the nearest thousandth, find the probability a randomly selected donor was categorized as a supporter, given that the donation was made online. So we can just find this by finding the probability of being a supporter and being online, which is 1200, divided by the probability of donating online, which is 3216. That is equal to 0.373. Do these data indicate that being a supporter is independent of donating online? Justify your answer. So an independent event will be the probability of A and B is equal to the probability of A times the probability of B. The probability of A is the number of supporters who donated, which is 1,600, over the total number of donations, 4,288, times the probability of B, which is the number of people who donated online, which is 3,216, over the total number of donations, 4,288. We can multiply those probabilities, so 0.373 times 0.75 is equal to 0.279. That is correct, so these are independent events. Number 35. Algebraically solve the system where x minus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 20 and y is equal to negative 2x plus 7. So we can write this out, and y is equal to negative 2x plus 7, so we can replace y with negative 2x plus 7. Then we can multiply everything out. X squared minus 4x plus 4 plus 4x squared minus 16x plus 16 is 20. So 5x squared minus 20x plus 20 is 20. We can factor out the 5 on both sides and factor this further. X minus 2 squared is equal to 4. X minus 2 is equal to plus or minus 2. X is equal to 2 plus or minus 2. X is equal to 0, 4. And then we could solve for the corresponding y values. So x is equal to 0, 7, and 4, negative 1. Number 36. On a certain tropical island, there are currently 500 palm trees and 200 flamingos. Suppose the palm tree population is decreasing at an annual rate of 3% each year, and the flamingo population is growing at a continuous rate of 2% each year. Write two functions, p of x and f of x, that represent the number of palm trees and flamingos on the island respectively, x years from now. So we know x is the exponent for both of these, and p of x will be the primary amount times the rate to the power of time, so 500 times 0.97 to the power of x. F of x, because it's continuous, it's a different formula. It's pe to the power of rt, so 200 times e to the power of 0.02 times x. State the solution to the equation, round it to the nearest year, and interpret the meaning of the value within the given context. So we can solve for this, and we know that the exact amount of flamingos and palm trees will be in 18 years. Number 37. The volume of air in an average lung during breathing can be multiplied by the graph. Write the equation in the form of n of t is equal to a sine bt plus c. So we know a is the altitude, which is 400, and we know period is equal to 2 pi over b, and since the period is 5 is equal to 2 pi over b, So b is equal to 2 pi over 5. And we know c is the y-intercept, which is 2,400. So our equation will be 400 times sine times 2 pi over b times t plus 2,400. The same lung, when engaged in exercise, has a volume which can be modeled by E of t is equal to 2,000 times sine times pi of t plus 3,200. Graph at least one cycle of ET on the same grid as NT. So we know the period is 2 because 2 pi over b, where b is equal to pi, is equal to 2. So once we graph this out, we can answer the next question. How many times during the 5-second interval will n of t equal to E of t? There are 4 intersections, so 4 times.